Hey guys, welcome to the Dave Pizarro Show. Today we've got with us Michael Discioarro. He's an attorney out of New York who does a lot with criminal defense and child protective services. So we're going to have a great conversation today about false allegations and how to deal with CPS. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you for having me, David. It's a pleasure to be with you and your fans.
My pleasure. I came across you and I was looking at what you're doing with your, was it New York City Law? Is that your TikTok handle?
NYC Law Guy.
NYC Law Guy. Got it. Awesome. And you've got a lot of really good information on there. Can you give me sort of an overview of what your background is and how you came to be the criminal defense lawyer, CPS lawyer that you are?
Sure. I was graduated law school, and then I went to work. I was a prosecutor for 6 years, and that was the most definitive legal education you could have because you're talking about taking a case from its inception all the way to trial. So I've taken criminal cases from interviewing the witness to getting the verdict. So those 6 years were a foundation for everything. It was the best time of my life. I made some great friends. The experience was unmatched. And then I went into criminal defense because that's what you do if you want to proceed in the criminal world, and try to make some money and make rent. And and then my friend came to me with a client came to me with an ACS, we call it ACS in New York City,
Yeah.
CPS case. So I went to court for him, and in my world, the criminal defense world, there's evidence. There's stuff you present to a judge or jury. And I went there and I realized that this is all. It's a really dysfunctional system in terms of the courts and how CPS proceeds. And then I got into it, and that's why now I've handled thousands of cases, both in and out of court, and I've seen the dysfunction of CPS up close, and that's where I'm at now.
So I've got a very brief experience with CPS. I did one case and the judge threw me out of the courtroom. I had a client, I was handling the custody side, and mom dragged us into CPS court, and I'm trying to help my client. And she's like, "You're not in here, get out." And what I have learned in CPS in California is it's pretty much the Wild West. Like, they don't seem to follow procedure. They don't seem to follow rules of evidence. It's sort of like whatever the social worker wants to do is what we're going to do. Is that your experience?
Oh, it is, and it's really awful in terms of the amount of power that CPS workers take for themselves. For example, CPS worker will come to your house and say, "All right, David, I think you're a threat to the family. I want you to leave the house." No judicial authority, no warrant. It's just her saying it to you. And many people do it because CPS workers have one gigantic threat hammer, and that is the removal of children. And I've had people not hire me because they say we want to cooperate with CPS,
Right.
which is a huge mistake, because they're there to manufacture cases against children. If they were there to help children, we wouldn't have the amount of dead kids we have in New York City under ACS supervision. We're up to, I don't know, 60 now. And then you can look at the Brooklyn grand jury report that tells you each child and how they died and how ACS is responsible. So it's a highly dysfunctional agency.
When you say 60, is that like 60 overall, 60 this year, 60 the last
Uh,
decade?
Probably 60 in the past 15 years.
Okay.
So it's a lot of dead kids because CPS doesn't do their jobs. And then that doesn't count because the ACS in New York City takes 155 children a month out of the home.
Jesus.
Most of those are low socioeconomic situations.
Yeah.
Parents can't afford an attorney. I'm a private attorney. I work for clients who pay. And that's the biggest stumbling block is people can't afford to pay. CPS takes advantage. So there's no representation before you get to court. And by the time you get to court, the CPS worker has manufactured a case and it's too late.
Now, are the parents who are in court assigned counsel?
They are. Once you get a CPS case, an ACS case in New York City, if you can't afford an attorney, it's a very low bar. The court will assign you an attorney. The problem is they are swamped.
I would
The
imagine
public
155
defenders
cases.
in Brooklyn, right? My friend, Brooklyn is the busiest. Brooklyn Family is the busiest courthouse in the country. Brooklyn Family Court. My friend has, I think she was telling me she had 190 cases. That's undoable,
I,
as you know.
absolutely. I mean, I don't think I could handle that with like a team of paralegals and secretaries under me.
No, you would need 4 or 5 lawyers to actually add. And when we say handle, I mean actually effectively represent someone. I could, you and I, we could walk into court just wing it on 100 cases, right? But
Sure.
if you're doing it right, it takes time, as you know. So
I just don't understand how that system can possibly be expected to have good results. It
I,
seems like it's set up for failure.
it's set up to destroy the parents' will and fight them and make them bend to the will of the system, because the CPS system requires one thing: customers. Customers for funding to get their funding, right?
Right.
So just like McDonald's needs customers, CPS workers, and I do this all the time. People come to me and they say CPS put us in programs, so I get them out.
Yeah.
I said, we're not doing any of this. This is they have, and the CPS programs they have are absolutely useless to anyone. I've never seen one help a child.
Like, what kind of programs are we talking about here? Is this
Oh,
the
they
anger
have a
management? What
checkbox.
is this?
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. They have parenting, and everybody gets parenting, anger management, substance abuse, even if you have none, and
Right.
deep therapy. But they're all useless programs run by third parties who CPS
Sure.
doesn't control. So then you go into the program and you go, the CPS worker told me I should be there for a month, and the program says, no, you're here for a year. And the CPS worker stops answering your calls.
Yeah.
So that's what we have here. It's shameful, and this is an agency that is absolutely despicable in everything that they do. I've never seen them help any parents. I've never seen them help any child. I've gone to CPS for help. I had a case where my client's 7-year-old was autistic, and she lost her autism school. As you know, autism schools cost $200,000 a year, right?
Sure.
And I was like, thank God you're here. We need a new autism school. Can you help us?
Nothing.
They didn't care. No, they didn't help.
But how do people get into the system? Like who's making the reports? Why? What's driving the reporting?
You have kids?
No, I'm a single gay man. No kids. Had a
Oh,
dog. He's gone.
all right. Let's say you had a kid.
Yeah.
How does David Passara get into the system? Hold on. I'd like to file a report against David Passara. He uses drugs and beats his kids.
Come on. There's got to be more than that.
Hi, I want to file a case against Mike Discioarro. He uses. I could file it myself. There's an 800 number to call, and a CPS worker in New York will be at your house. That's it.
What kind of 1984 world is this? How could that possibly be that I could lose custody of my kids based on nothing, no actual evidence,
This is
just a
the
fabricated lie?
And this is the danger of CPS. Now, let's say I called on you and you had a kid and there was no issues, but you feel vulnerable and you trust the CPS worker, and you start telling the CPS worker, well, his mother doesn't help out, and sometimes I'm frustrated with him.
Uh-oh.
Oh, they'll write that up all day. That becomes a case. We all know, we all grew up imperfect, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
right? Everybody's had, imperfect. We've all had an imperfect childhood in some way, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, there's tremendous abuse. First of all, there's tremendous child abuse going on sometimes, right? There are
Definitely.
cases of supreme abuse, uh, but most of us grew up with loving parents who did their best, and some families are different than others, right? My family was different than yours, and we grew up with different morals and different way of doing things. Like, I would dare not cross my father. He was not a man to be played with.
Right.
Never abusive, but not someone that you would confront ever.
Sure.
Take
Stern,
serious, yeah,
disciplinarian.
serious consequences. But he never had to, because we all understood that message. CPS will come into a family that is. I had a family where the mother adopted two little girls that were abused, and she had a special needs son who was 30, and they helped each other. He would help take care of these children,
Right.
and it was this beautiful family she created, and everybody was helping each other. CPS came in and ripped them apart, ripped up the child, ripped up the kids. But so there's money in the system in
Right.
destroying families, not putting them together. A healthy family does not serve CPS's goals.
Sure. So in a custody battle, we always have false allegations in custody battles. That's kind of like standard these days. You go straight for the domestic violence restraining order, if they're emotionally abusive, or whatever that means these days, which is, as near as I can tell, anything. In this world where somebody makes a false allegation, how does, let's say the father's the one who's being falsely accused, how does he defend himself? What's his best course of action?
First thing is never speak to the CPS worker. Never speak to the CPS worker. Their lifeblood is you speaking to them. Because once you speak to them, it allows them to create their false narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're left in a position like thousands of my clients that say, I never said that. Well, did you talk to him?
Right.
Did you record it? And now it's your word versus hers about what you said. Two, you got to get a CPS, you got to get an attorney involved right away to speak on your behalf.
Mm-hmm.
Right away, as soon as the allegation starts. And I realize that's difficult for people to hire, on the whim.
Sure.
But those are the two, because if you speak to CPS, and thousands of parents will do this, parents speak to them out of fear and out of hopes that they can negotiate with the system,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't. They fear that there's two types of parents. There's the parent that goes, F you, get off my property, right? And then there's the other parent that says, I tries to appease them and do whatever they say. Both of those paths fail. The only path that works is standing on your constitutional rights to remain silent and have an attorney speak for you.
So why is let's start with that. Why is the parent who says, F you, get off my property, the wrong path? What are they doing wrong there?
Because then it allows the CPS worker to write, David Pissarro, emotionally unstable, threatening, and violent.
What?
So now you're faced with that. And did you say fuck you to the CPS worker? The judge will ask. So it creates a narrative. So you don't. The only thing you can do with CPS, I tell people, is the cold corporate veneer.
Right. And
if you want to see the biggest prick of all, I don't get into politics. This isn't political. The biggest prick of all in an interview is Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
You want to see a ruthless, cold guy that no one will mess with? When you deal with CPS, become Dick Cheney and watch his interviews. He is ruthless. He is.
That's interesting.
When you want to be a real prick,
yeah.
Because I know most people are nice, right? Most people are nice people.
Right. That's how we survive.
But if you want to confront someone head on and let them know that you are not a target, channel Dick Cheney. I've been using that for years, and it works.
That's funny. That's kind of an impressive.
Watch his interviews on 60 Minutes. That is one cold-hearted SOB. I don't care what the politics are. He's just, and this was a very effective person. Remember, he was chief of staff for the president.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the man's unbelievably accomplished.
Right, very, very competent, and you can see it in him. Nobody.
It's interesting listening to you because so much of what you're describing is very much what I tell dads in my VIP program and through my book, Child Custody Action Plan. When you're going into court, don't show anger. It's okay to be assertive, but no anger. And I'm getting that same feeling here that any emotion you show that's other than just cold is going to get used against you.
That's precisely right. If a dad walks into court for custody, because remember, the judge sees everything, right? That's why they sit higher.
Right.
Right. I always tell people there's a physical dimension to the courtroom, and they can hear us because it's projected. Right. And as soon as you walk in, the judge sees the way you walk, dress, talk to your lawyer, look at the other party. Are you a maniac? Right.
Hey, Dad, if you have to go into family court to get more time to see your kids, you need every advantage possible. And at dadslawschool.com, we're going to give you those advantages. If you're having trouble getting the judge to see your proof, we're going to show you how to get that proof admitted so that it becomes evidence in court. If you're feeling lonely, isolated, overwhelmed, angry, abused, used, confused, all of those feelings, at dadslawschool.com, we've got support to help you through that stuff. You should come join our VIP program today and get the power and strength you need to go in and fight for your kids so that you can get the time you want and that they deserve. Have a great day. Remember, I think you're freaking awesome. If you want more time with your kids, join our VIP program today. So one of the things I say to my guys is, your declaration, what you submit to the court, is actually your first impression with the judge. That's why it's so important to have your declaration complete and proper and clean. Does that apply in child protective court also?
Well,
are there papers filed? I don't know how that process actually works.
Yeah, well, we don't. The client doesn't do anything. We file motions if we have to.
Sure.
So, but they don't write or say, they don't give a narrative to the court until it's time for trial.
Okay.
They, once you get taken to CPS court in New York City, okay, this agency is called ACS has a bigger budget than all of the New York counties legal budget put together.
What
Let me
that
repeat that. Let me repeat that. There are 61 counties in New York State, right?
right?
60. They all have a court administration, right? Each county has a courthouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
ACS in New York City has more money than all of them put together. Right, this year it's 3.1 billion with a B.
Oh
And that
my
is
God.
to put, most of that is used to put parents into useless services. But if you don't have a customer,
Right. You built a business that serves nobody. We can't have that.
and at the end of the year, they write a report. Oh, we fixed David Prasaris' family. He's a
So
fantastic doctor.
you said something really interesting also. Throughout this, you keep using the pronoun she when you're talking about CPS workers. What do you think the percentage breakdown is between men and women as social workers?
In New York City, it's 90%.
Really?
I don't recall the last male ACS worker I had was 6 months ago.
And what was it like working with them? Were they different than the female workers? Is there like a gender difference here?
No, actually, there's no. New York City ACS has no gender difference, has no racial difference, has no stereotypes difference. They're all the
Yeah.
same. ACS workers are all trained the same in New York City. They're all trained to attack parents.
Yeah.
Now, some are nicer, but
Sure.
their goal is the same. But there's no difference in ethnicity. They're all equally awful
Oh,
because they're trained that way.
yeah.
But the real power in the CPS is the second layer of supervision, the ones above them. They're the ones that make the decisions.
So,
Those are the nastiest ones to deal with.
so
Every
talk to me
time
about that. When you say the next level up, what does that mean?
they decide to remove the kids, they decide to take you to court. They're the bosses that decide. Because most of the frontline ACS workers have been there for a year or 2 years. Because there's a lot of turnover in that job. It's a worthless job. It's meaningless, and the average person can't bear to do it for a long time.
Right.
So.
Wow.
And this ties on to the criminal world too, because I did the criminal defense. So I'll have a father accused of, I just had the case dismissed today. Our father was accused in criminal court and CPS court. But in criminal court, there's juries. CPS world in New York, there's no jury, and that's the biggest reform that we need is a jury. If there was a jury system for CPS cases, there'd be no
Right.
CPS. There just wouldn't be. There'd
So,
be about 10% of what they have.
So first piece of advice, don't talk to them at all. Second piece of advice, if you do talk to them, be Dick Cheney.
Record.
What will be the third piece of advice? Is there some last piece to add in here?
Record right in their face. Record just like this.
Yeah.
Right? And they hate that. They will do anything not to be recorded, but it's your only protection. And if you do communicate with them, you shouldn't communicate with them, but if you have to, texting and email because you want a record of what's being said.
Okay.
They'll lie about everything. They lied about me in court, about me not knowing the ACS worker, right? I said, I texted the ACS worker last week, and that she says, no, you didn't. I said, okay. Took out my phone. I opened it up and said, Judge, here you go. This is who they are.
Yeah. So I guess my question is this: if a man is accused, let's say, of the thing we always get in family court is mom's always got this, I'm afraid he may finger the baby when he's changing the diaper for little girls. Like I'm sure you've seen that 100 times.
I've literally had 50 of those.
Yeah.
And obviously, they're hard to disprove, right? Well, people accuse you of things like that. They're hard to disprove. So she has.
Well, how do you disprove? Because like in our world, she hasn't actually accused you of anything. Because it's the fear that she's claiming, not that you actually did anything.
Right. And CPS will come to us and say, we want an interview. Like, no, my client has denied all these allegations. That's it. That's what I do. And I literally just had that in Queens. And the judge asked the wife, it was a 2-year-old, he goes, other than your client's statement talking about the other party, there's nothing else here.
Yeah.
So I'm denying the order of protection. There's nothing else here that would allow me to keep this man away from his child.
So what's the timeline from when that accusation gets made to the time when you got that dismissed?
That was like That was fast. This was an order of protection between mom and dad.
Yeah.
We have orders of protection. That's not yet custody. That was 3 or 4 months, but that's rare. CPS cases can take up to 2 years in the
Oh,
city.
good Lord.
Yeah, because you come in and you say, okay, it's Friday, we get 2 hours for trial, then come back in a month, you got another hour.
Right.
That's how they're done here.
They dribble it on out.
Spoonfuls of justice. I once read. Which is
Now,
pretty
that
good.
whole time, is there a protection order where dad's not allowed to see the kid, or is this where we
That
put in
whole time,
place supervised visits? How does that work?
exactly what you just said. That whole time could be a father not allowed to see his kids or supervised visits for the whole time. Yes. And
So, is that, I'm imagining, because in my world, that puts pressure on the dad to then sign the quote unquote safety plan and admit that he did something. How do you counsel your clients on that, and how do you help them through that process of not seeing your kid for 3, 6, maybe 24 months?
we live in the same world. It's a matter of how much the client can tolerate.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of this is how much can the client take. And I've seen some heroic parents, but I also understand when they fold. I
Yeah.
don't. I look at this job as if I wasn't me and ACS came to my door. I have one son, and when my son was 4, and ACS was at my door with the power to remove a child, how I would react,
Right.
right? And I understand fully what parents do. Plus, you got a wife that's freaking out, right?
Right.
In my case, or a lot of times the parents have different opinions because some want to fight and some don't. But I fully grasp that. But
Yeah.
it's never a good idea to cooperate with CPS. On the false allegation stuff, a lot of the times is I did not do this. Prove it.
Right. How do you prove the negative?
Right. Can't.
Yeah.
I can't. You can't. I can't prove I didn't punch you.
Right.
Right.
So what happens when the dad then just caves and signs that safety plan? Then what happens to his case?
Well, he's subjected to useless programs, and then eventually ACS backs off. They want their piece of flesh, and then once the case is over in New York, the ACS worker leaves. They leave you to these useless programs, and
Yeah.
you're sort of forgotten about. And then you're at the whim of these programs. When it's interesting when I explain the system to people, they have that reaction you're giving me
Yeah.
is the reaction I get from people. I always say the most competent people have the hardest time with CPS.
That makes
Just like
sense.
the most competent people have a hard time with a criminal investigation
Yeah.
because they just watch TV. They think everybody's going to be SUV with all this technology and
Yeah.
they have, the system shocks you. It is shocking for me to tell people how dysfunctional it is. I've had clients go, okay, let's just go tell them I didn't do it. I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
That's not going to cut it.
It's not going to work, man.
Yeah. That's what I tell dads all the time in family court when they're going in and they're like, I'm going to tell the judge, I'm a great dad. I want my 50% custody. And I'm like, dude, you haven't said anything.
Right.
Like, I'm a great dad. Everybody's a great dad. Like, tell me water is wet.
It's funny. I do the CPS stuff and I do criminal defense stuff. My hat's off to all the divorce guys. I could never do what you do. I just can't. I'm just not built for it. Like, I get dragged. I have buddies try to drag me to custody court. I went there once to just put in an appearance.
Yeah.
I said, swear to God, if they ask me anything, I'm going to jump out the window. I just can't. I've done felony trials, no problem, but I can't deal with the custody and the stuff because it's so hard. At least in CPS cases, we're fighting the state.
Right.
So it's me and my client versus the state. Often the mom is with us or the dad is with us. They're with me.
Yeah.
But you guys have a very, very, very difficult job. And I love that people talk about, I'm sure you see this family court reform.
Oh, yeah.
What would the reforms be? And people are like, give 50-50 custody. Okay, let's assume it starts that way. What if mom comes in and said, Dad is such a drunk, he beat the kids every night last week? That's a problem.
Now what?
Right? It could be true, right?
Yeah.
Now what? Or mom does so much dope she falls asleep driving the kids to school. That could be true. Somebody's going to have to investigate this, right?
Yeah.
This all happened. This is all. So who's going to investigate it?
Oh, no one. We don't want anybody investigating.
Who's going to
Government
decide?
should stay out of parenting.
Government should
I
stay
have
out
a
of marriage.
constitutional right to raise my kids as I want.
So when you're arguing over who gets custody, how's it going to be decided? A gladiator fight? I mean, how's it?
I have this argument all the time with the guys on my TikToks and
What do they
Facebook
say?
page. They shut up. They have no comeback.
Right.
You know, the
Somebody
ones
has
who
to
are like,
decide.
we need to, abolish family court, get rid of all the lawyers, get rid of all the judges. And I'm like, okay, fine.
That's fine.
How are you going to, you're still fighting with your ex over your kid. What are you going to do?
Is it just guns in the street? I mean, that's what it is at that point, right? I mean, what else are
I
you
would
going to do?
assume.
Back
I
in the
would assume
day,
that's what they want.
right?
And then
So,
we're in a criminal court.
Yeah, that's
Right?
that's not a place you want to be.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So, and this is a good segue into that. What's your experience in criminal court with domestic violence on either defending or prosecuting? Because it seems like you got history.
I've done both. I've done both, right? It's a totally different game because of the jury. Because prosecutors know at the end of the day they have to convince a jury,
Mhm.
and for that I've never lost a domestic violence trial as a defense lawyer.
Wow, that is quite a calling card.
Not because I'm so smart. Let's get
Okay.
that clear. This is not a flex. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you this because there's so much information that I have from the other side. The motives usually are not pure,
Yeah.
and a judge or jury will see that. So it is a place where the jury tempers the allegations.
Mm-hmm.
So not because I'm so smart. A lot of my friends have done the same thing.
Yeah.
It's because if you get robbed by somebody gunpoint, you're not going to know anything about them, but you have a lot of intimate details about people that you've dated, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So those negatives can be used at trial to defend you. And forget about a marriage. I mean, that's
That's a whole other.
look at the P. Diddy case. He was accused of being a sexual trafficker. Meanwhile, his girlfriend participated in the sexual acts. She picked out some of the. This is what I'm talking about. The intimate knowledge of a relationship comes into play.
Yeah.
So a lot of the domestic violence cases that go to trial in New York are the really violent ones, where the guy's really like chopped their arm off. I mean, really bad. Because
He's
domestic
really a
violence,
bad guy.
as we know, can be horrific very, very quickly, right?
Totally.
I mean, every day we see the consequences of that. We also see false allegations every day. So it's the system where the domestic violence criminal world is fueled by these horrific stories,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gives credence to all these false allegations for people in custody. And that's very difficult to stop, because if you're a judge, do I give this guy bond? Do I let this guy see his kids? What if the mother said she tried to chop him up, and the guy last week chopped up his wife,
Right.
right? So we had a guy in the Bronx who chopped up his wife with a samurai sword.
I think he actually sends me letters every month.
No way.
Yeah. No, I get letters from this guy, and he's
Bronx
in.
guy
I think so. Is he the one that beheaded his wife?
with the samurai sword.
I think so. I think it was I don't remember what the sword
Yeah.
was. But
It was a while ago, though. It was like 2007 or yeah.
yeah, and he's trying to claim that he was the victim of domestic violence, and that's why he did it. It was reactive abuse, and he's trying to get me to take it seriously. And the scary part is, the guy's really well educated, really well spoken. His letters are beautiful. Like, the handwriting is unbelievably pretty.
I know all about him. He's a computer guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
He decided to chop his wife's head off with a samurai sword. And my
He-
cop buddies are the ones that responded.
Oh, wow.
And then one cop shot the other by accident.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The whole thing is a mess. Oh, that's so funny that you said that.
Yeah.
It's awful.
So domestic violence is one of those hard areas, because in the criminal world, you've got that high standard. But in the civil world, we don't have the high standard. We've got preponderance, which is where those judges are like, I'm going to always fall on the safe side. Thank you, O.J. Simpson, because of what happened there.
Now Peterson, and and just
Yes.
the list keeps growing, right? I mean, there's horrific domestic violence committed every day by men, mostly by men, right? And
okay, I'm going to stop you on that one, because the physical horrific violence, 100% agree with you, mostly by men. The long-term emotional, psychological damage perpetrated by women, what's your take on that?
that doesn't make the news. Two, that's a lot harder. That's more difficult to quantify. And three, you don't see the immediate result of that like you do when somebody getting his head chopped off with a samurai sword.
Right.
So it doesn't really factor into the it doesn't factor into the world because that's not what judges and prosecutors are concerned with. They're
Yeah.
concerned with if I let this guy go home, what happens?
Right.
And
Is it
it's
ever is it ever sort of a defense? Like when you're doing a criminal case where you've got a guy who's like, yes, I did, like I threw something, I hit her, bad things happened, but it was as a result of, or it was self-defense, or I was pushed so far, the burning bed in reverse theory.
will a jury buy it? I mean, will a jury take that defense? Most juries will not allow a man to hit a woman because he's mad or because she is manipulating him to not play golf anymore. This is not
Yeah.
going to work. And
What
I
if
don't
she
think
hit him first?
but that's viable, right? But then you get into the
Right.
situation. I'm a fairly strong guy, and my ex-wife would never hit me. And if she did, if I decided to hit her back, I would cause a lot more damage.
Right.
So then you got that the jury has to decide. And a lot of juries would say, I can't let you hit a woman like that. There's still
Mm.
that difference on hitting a woman. You have to,
Yeah.
unless she hit you with a baseball bat, right? I mean, these are all fact specific. But a lot of guys, this happens to a lot of guys. The girls hit them like this,
Right.
right? And most guys will just, and I suggest to most guys out there listening, just walk away. You don't want to do that because it's not looked at the same as if a guy at a bar punched you.
Right.
So it's very difficult to use that defense that she manipulated me to hitting her. That doesn't work. In my
Yeah.
world,
Okay. Got it. Wow. You sure have a lot of experience. How long have you been doing this?
2001.
Okay, so 24 years. That's good.
Yeah, it's been a great ride. I enjoy it every day. It's different every day. I have a woman. I'm getting a woman out of jail tonight. She's involved in a, you know, love triangle.
Mm,
That's just, we're humans. Humans,
that sounds
I would
messy.
say, listen, if we all just stopped interacting on a romantic level, this would all end. But I don't see that happening.
It's interesting you say that because I don't see it happening, but we're definitely on a downswing. If you look at what's going on a societal level with marriage rates dropping, birth rates dropping, sex rates among 20-year-olds is like they're in a desert for some reason, which I totally don't understand. So it's
Yeah,
interesting that we're going in that way, and with AI coming in, changing the world, who knows where we're going to end up?
I don't know. I just know that domestic violence affects every single strata of society. From I've represented the wealthiest of people to people that have nothing. It has nothing to do with
Yeah,
race, culture. It has domestic violence is it's everywhere, and it can be horrific, and it can be a horrific weapon to use against the dad in your case for what you
yeah.
do.
But historically, what have you seen? Is it mostly dads are accused and moms are the accusers in these false allegations?
Yeah, well, when I was a prosecutor, there's each DA's office has a whole domestic violence part of the office now.
Hmm.
So whatever county you're in, I'm sure LA County's got a domestic violence section.
Oh, yeah.
Well, probably 85% of the defendants are men,
Right.
probably maybe higher. Um, we had, and I used to see the cases, and my friend, I would say, look, this is a really awful case, or this was really manufactured. And I don't think there's anything here. And my friend, she goes, yeah, you're right. She came to my office and asked if there were any programs to make him stop cheating. So, I mean,
Yeah, we see what's really going on there.
right.
Yeah.
But then you have the horrific ones, and I've seen them. I've seen people get viciously attacked in domestic violence cases, men and women.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
because human emotion, there's no emotion like the romantic emotion. I mean, if I
Yeah.
rob you and I put a
It's the
gun to your head and
messiness of
take your
family
wallet,
law and
I'm not
criminal
mad at you.
law all in
I'm just
one.
taking your wallet, right? But romantic anger, as you probably know,
Michael?
can you hear me? The CPS, contact the local CPS lawyer, family court lawyer. Some places don't have CPS lawyers because there aren't that many lawyers.
Right.
Like LA does, but you're getting some with some of these counties that are less popular. But a family lawyer could help you. So you want somebody to speak for you.
Absolutely. And I got to say, you are going to be one amazing spokesperson for anybody who hires you.
Thank you very much, David. I appreciate it. You've been
My
great.
pleasure. Thank you for coming on, Michael. This has been awesome. I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you. Anytime, brother. Have a good day, man.
Awesome. Let's just go hold for a second.